You've gotten a better look at FGCU since you heard the announcement. What stands out about them to you guys?
I think just really well coached. They're a tremendously resilient team. I've known Coach Blankenship for 20 plus years. It's no surprise. Because I've known them so well, I followed them from a distance all the time. See some highlights here and there. It didn't shock me they came from behind in their championship game, down 3 to send the game to overtime and penalties and then win it. They're just a resilient bunch. Won their conference 8 times. That's a lot. So they're used to winning. They play comfortable. And, we know we've got our work cut out for us.
You guys have been absent from the tournament for the past 2 seasons, but you get the new turf this year. Think that it plays in some of it, that you get more experience with that and we're able to capitalize with what you got here with where you've been playing other places?
I think the timing of the new surface and the style that our team was growing into, being really good on the ball and being able to pass it better than we had in previous years, was perfect. The turf does tend to speed things up, although when the turf was new, we loved it. But when it started to fade, it makes the game really fast and the ball moves faster than it should. So we were certainly thankful for everybody that went to put this in, and it definitely was an enhancer for our team. It was like the bonus for our squad. We got a lot of real technical people and a lot of girls that want to move the ball. And, if you've got some speed too, you don't want the ball run out of bounds. You want the ball staying on the field. So we were able to take advantage of that too. So yeah, I think it definitely got an assist. The other piece is we just got healthy. You can't count COVID because we didn't even finish the season, but for 2 years, 21 and 22, we just were beat up. And that happens. It didn't seem like anything we were doing. It just seemed like, our turn to take a bunch of knee injuries, and some were happening in high school from our top recruits coming in and just looking over at the bench going, wow, all those good players there that can't play. And fortunately this year they were all on the field. We had like 98% availability for the whole season, which is kind of unheard of. Our sports performance team deserves credit. They had a great year keeping our girls healthy and fit. So it's been fortunate in that way, and we're glad that we made the most of it.
You mentioned the health. Is this the healthiest you've ever taken a team into the tournament with?
No question. Yeah, it doesn't hurt when you lose arguably your best player, but when you don't lose many others, then it kind of balances out a little bit. There's no replacing Macy Blackburn, although you've got to admit, and everyone's seen it, Elise Anderson has been spectacular coming into the starting lineup. She was already playing starter minutes and had starter performances, but if you're going to lose your best player, at least you got somebody like Elise who is dangerous as heck in her own right, and it's been fantastic for us. So we're thankful that we got her ready to come in.
With the 2 seed brings expectations and thoughts from your girls, but also knowing that you didn't finish the season the way you wanted to. Does that kind of balance the 2 mental aspects out, that there's work to do, but you're in a good place to do that kind of work?
Yeah, you never want to take a loss, but we'd also very few teams have ever been undefeated across an entire regular season. Not just Big 12, but the whole year we never lost. So you don't want to lose in that scenario because we were a game away from playing for another trophy. But if you're going to lose, let's lose right before the NCAA tournament so it's fresh in your mind that performance wasn't good enough, and therefore, what is good enough? Well, we know what's good enough, and we had to get back to that, and that's why this time in training has been helpful for us.
Do you like the break between round 1 and round 2 with just 1 game this week?
Absolutely. What happened is it used to be just 8 teams hosted those kind of regionals, right? And so, or 16 teams, I guess, in the first round would host those regionals. It was generally the same teams over and over, and then the same 8, and then the same 4. And what we pushed for years ago was that the the NCAA tournament needed to have a bigger footprint. And so the top 32 should play the bottom 32, and the top 32 should host, if possible. And so now there's 32 sites, and NCAA soccer is played across the country, from East Coast to West Coast and North to South. And so this is a way better way to kick it off. Plus, teams playing in in their conference tournament finals deserved a rest. If you played on Sunday and you won your championship, you shouldn't play Friday, Sunday the next week in the biggest tournament of the year. So it helped the tournament champions. It also helped just across the country with what I think we needed to show NCAA soccer everywhere. And then the second weekend is 2. And then, what some would say is the biggest weekend of the year is the Elite 8, because that gets you to the College Cup. It's 1, so everybody's hyped and ready for that 1 game. And then, of course, to win the College Cup, you got to win 2 anyway, so everyone's okay with that. Long answer, but I think it's much better to have 32 hosting and 32 traveling.
Heading into the postseason, did y'all's mentality or energy kind of change around here?
I don't know if the mentality changed. I think our mentality was great all year, but I think certainly the appreciation for how hard it is to get here, the gratitude that we're back in a knockout round NCAA tournament format, and what that means to the program, to the girls, to their overall experience as college players. We've been a tournament team talent-wise since 2012, but you don't make it every year. And we're pleased that this is our 8th, and that this group of girls get to experience this at home, because my gosh, did we have a lot of travel the last month of our season. You know, Provo, Orlando, Ames, Iowa, and then the Big 12 tournament in a month. That's a lot. So it's great to have earned the home game and be able to play it here.
How have the players that have been in the NCAA tournament kind of helped most this team that really hasn't been?
You know, I think as a group, we've just, I know it's a cliche, but we have definitely kept the biggest game of the year is the next one up mentality. And so the vets really haven't had to say much. I think the last time we played, we beat Princeton and lost to Michigan. And whoever wins this game Friday might see either of those teams again. So there really hasn't been much looking forward. We know we've got a really tough first round game, and the veteran players that were in the NCAA tournament for us have just been a calming influence. Just business as usual, I think, is the best message to send. Play as hard as you can, but don't get over your skis here. It's a game with everyone all dressed up. It's the same as a regular season game, but everybody's got their party dress on, I suppose, and makes it a little more formal, makes it a little more exciting. And, you know, if you don't win, you're done. And everybody knows that, so we don't want to harp on that too much. That's just the reality of the event.
I guess maybe the obvious question you've answered before, but getting to play in front of the fans at the Walker again, how is this team kind of excited to do that?
Every time we've had a big game this year, the crowds have been massive, and they're rowdy. And you know, we're Raider fans. I mean, they love to see their teams do well. So once we started doing well, they were coming out in droves, and then they pushed us through. I mean, I think against TCU and definitely Oklahoma State, they were a big reason we won the game, because they just kept pushing us, and we were pretty beat down and exhausted at that time of year with all the travel, and they just wouldn't let us let off the gas. And so we expect that again tomorrow, and it's good soccer weather. It looks like 50s and calm winds, so it should be a beautiful night. And with the football team out of town, I mean, what else you got to do on a Friday night? Love it. Come on, besides high school football, besides friendship football, which is in El Paso. So come on out and see us play, and it should be a fun night.
Coach, how do you think the different opponents you've played this year, different styles, have prepared you for a tournament where you could see different styles? I mean, there's a team that you could get that potentially has won 20 or 25 national titles. How did the different styles kind of prepared you for this moment?
Well, preseason, we went to DU, brand new coach, and they came out in a 3-6-1, which we never saw coming. We adjusted to that in that game and won it handily in the second half, and it seemed like the better we did, the more different pitches we were getting thrown. There were curveballs, sliders, a couple spitballs thrown our way, and when we played people twice, they came with something different. Cincinnati came with something different. Texas came with something different. So in the process of playing all these teams that were really smart and trying different things, we got to learn a lot about ourselves too. You know, okay, here's how we adjust to that. Here's how we adjust to that. You can't always wait till halftime. You can be in a hole by that time. The players have to see it and deal with it on the field, and we can try to help them from the sideline a bit. But it's been a huge benefit. One of the things about the Big 12 I really like right now is that not everybody plays the same. You watch some conferences, it's like, oh yeah, this is the such and such conference. The Big 12 has evolved into something really unique in that there are such different styles. And there's the far end of the spectrum of the possession area with TCU. There's the far end of the spectrum of great defending, team defending in Cincinnati, where they really hunker down and make it difficult to break down. You got wide open BYU. You got Oklahoma State who sits in and counters. I mean, that's a lot right there, and I haven't even mentioned half the league. So a lot of great experience can come from playing the Big 12 schedule, and we hope it pays off for us here.
You mentioned playing a couple of teams twice this year already. There's a potential for a big one at the end of this particular side of the bracket. I know you guys aren't looking at it because you got one game at a time, but as the bracket sits, you won the Big 12 title and tied them in their place, and then you have to go back there in the NCAA tournament. Any thoughts for your girls on that, or from you looking at how the bracket laid out?
I really don't have any, because you're right. We haven't even peeked around the corner because there are some opponents that we might have been able to start thinking ahead. This isn't one of them. But just to directly answer your question, if indeed that happens, yes, we will be duly annoyed that we have to go there. That doesn't seem right. But we'll also be duly amazed and excited and appreciative of that opportunity. But to bring it back to this week, it's just every bracket seems incredible. I mean, I was looking at these brackets come up, and I was like, ooh, I'm glad we're not in that bracket. Ooh, I'm glad we're not in that bracket. And then they put ours up, and I'm like, ooh, maybe don't love that bracket. So none of them look too easy. And, whoever wins our game, I mean, for Florida Gulf Coast, what a bear of a game for them next and a bear of a game for us next, whichever one of us advances. So certainly no easy. And I think that speaks to the level of college women's soccer right now. It's about as high as I can remember it at this exact time. That's how competitive it is.
And then for you, just kind of take us through maybe the difficulties of playing a team that's riding such a hot momentum with, Florida Gulf Coast. Obviously, you mentioned it. They came back from 3-0 down, but they won their conference tournament. They've won their last couple games in a row. How difficult is that for you to play a team that maybe is riding some momentum?
I mean, that can work one of two ways. You spend that kind of emotion, it certainly breeds excitement for the next chance to do it, and it also can drain you. So I have no idea. All we have to do is, in that regard, worry about ourselves. And if they want to bring the house and be super excited and play with a bunch of emotion and a bunch of passion, then it's on us to deal with it. And if they don't, then it's on us to deal with it. So regardless of what they kind of bring onto the field, I think in that question we have to just be ourselves and be prepared for whatever comes our way.